Tuesday, SportsCage. Welcome. It's Barney Shynkaruk. Colson Curtis, also known as the C's. Be an interesting show today. Going a lot of different directions. The Western Pizza guest hotline will be busy. We are going to go out on the Western Pizza guest hotline in about 8 minutes' time. Talk to head coach of the Weyburn Red Wings. They're in action tonight. Game 3 against the Flin Flon Bombers, up 2-0. Cody Mapes will join us. Arash Madani, we're going to flip Arash. He's got prior commitments, so he has to go in hour 1. So Arash will be with us in hour 1. We'll talk, what are we talking with Arash today? A little CFL, Vladimir Guerrero, Greg Millen. Memories of Greg Millen, who was just in the studio a little over a couple months ago, I guess. Hour 2, Cal Filson, scout with the Chicago Blackhawks. A lot of you in the area will know Cal. He was also a longtime scout with the Seattle Thunderbirds in the Western Hockey League. Cal's going to be in studio. Interesting to pick his brain on some things when it comes to scouting, when it comes to the WHL draft lottery, which goes down on Thursday. It's a big one. Also, expansion with Penticton. How are they getting their ducks in a row? Cal will be here. Voice of the Prince Albert Raiders, Nick Nielsen, joining us in hour 2. Game 7 at the Art Hauser Center in Prince Albert. If you're watching the stream, you see I'm wearing my Prince Albert Raiders hat. Shout out Cliff Mapes. It's a big night in the Mapes hockey world. Cody coaching the Weyburn Red Wings. Cliff, member of the front office with the Prince Albert Raiders. He's working hard up there. I'm donning my Prince Albert retro hat for Game 7 with the Raiders against the Edmonton Oil Kings. Like I said, voice of the PA Raiders, Nick Nielsen, will join us in hour 2. Clutch Performer time in hour 2. SJHL Report with Benny Walchuk. Yorkton Terriers, they're in tough. Melfort coming into town tonight. The big bad Melfort Mustangs. That's what I'm getting word of. A lot of people that have watched them play in the last little bit here, it's like, Melfort's good. Melfort's big. Melfort's mean. Melfort's fast. So we'll talk to Benny about the SJHL. The SJHL Report is always for Southie Mainline Chrysler, the new king of trucks in Southie, Saskatchewan. Hour 3, it's Tuesday. You know it. Press coverage with Glen Suitor for Bronco Plumbing and Heating. If you got any questions for Glen, they're always welcome. If you have any questions for anybody in this 3-pack that we got rolling right now, the Prairie Land Rentals text line. Prairie Land Rentals, 600 Albert Street, since 1986. If you got that spring job that you're thinking about, need to rent something, I'm not going to get that done on my own. Maybe you and the wife have a big project plan. Prairie Land Rentals, they got pretty much everything for big jobs, small jobs, 600 Albert Street, and you get to deal with the owner. So I told you, it was busy. No need to cook tonight, too. Think about what's in your fridge. You don't want to eat that. Pick up Western Pizza. Western Pizza guest hotline will be busy. Okay, so I had this question, and I know you two guys don't go to a ton of sporting events, but you go to sporting events. You've been to junior hockey games. You've been to Rider games. People out there in Radio Land or on the stream, feel free to chime in. With 3,500 people sold out in Prince Albert tonight, and then I suspect they're going to get a sellout in Weyburn or very close. I think that's about 1,600 fans. What do we remind people on sporting event etiquette? What can we remind everybody out there going to these games, and then even if you're not going to these games, just for future? The one that jumps out with me, I think we've talked about this on the show before, if you go to the wrong game in the United States, like an NFL game, you could be leaving black and blue. Standing up and walking while the play is going on. You guys don't go to, but you guys get that, right?
A little bit. You know what? I feel like I have a funny story of my brother. He was being obnoxious at a Flames game once where this is back in the day when morph suits were weirdly popular. Do you remember morph suits?
No
Barney?
idea what that is.
It's like a spandex suit that's all one color. And
Spandex suit.
Yeah. And
See, I'm born in 77. You gotta go spandex suit. Got it. Okay.
All right. Yeah. So he was wearing a purple one and he had, we went to a Penguins game versus the Flames.
Yeah.
And he was being obnoxious and the Penguins won. So he was running around the parking lot, jumping around and whatnot. And then, I think some guy threw like a frozen water bottle at him, like, whachoo! Oh. And he ended up like getting a black eye and stuff.
Frozen water bottle.
Yeah. But just remember, people, if you're gonna throw stuff at someone, you should at least know if they're an adult. He was like 15 or something, and some random dudes just chucking ice at him.
Should we write down obnoxious?
Yeah, don't be obnoxious. There you go.
Good luck that I know how to
PSA
spell.
from the SportsCage.
Good luck that I know how to spell that correctly. At least I can admit that. But I'll write it down on the list here. Okay, so walking down, getting up, going to your seat when the play is on. Don't do that.
That's an easy one.
That's an absolute pigeon move. No one does that anymore. I even hate it when you go to like minor hockey games. You just walk in front of people. Have the courtesy. Okay, what's yours, Coulson?
Be nice to like the parking attendants and like the fast food staff. Because like, do you think they really want to be there on their Saturday? Like, this is probably a job that they need to get through school or to help pay the bills, right?
Yeah.
Especially in
concession staff?
Yeah, especially in the winter for the parking staff. Like, do you think they want to be out there at minus 45? No, but somebody's got to maintain order in the parking lot, or then you've got a traffic jam for the next 2 hours after the game.
I don't mind that. Traffic / concession.
I think that's a just general etiquette thing, but specifically at like sporting events too. Yeah, just be nice to the arena staff.
The only thing, and I'll call out some of the real staff again this year. You sometimes get some real hardos, like Paul Blart.
Yeah,
Malkop.
The security guard that thinks they're in the army.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, you're not Secret Service. Really, they gave you an orange shirt with security on the back. Just kind of keep order here.
You've got the light up batons. You're not fooling anybody.
But yeah, you got to respect those guys.
Yeah.
So the move that you see now on social media, I haven't done quite this move, but I've done a move similar with my kids in the vehicle. Is people are carrying the vests. Illuminated. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Reflective. And they're just throwing those on and going out to act like a parking attendant so people can get in and out from your vehicle. Smart move. Don't mind it.
Yeah. The other one that I've heard about that is if you and a buddy are wearing those vests and carrying a ladder, you can get in anywhere.
Yeah.
Just walk in with confidence. No one's stopping you. They're like, oh, they got a ladder. They mean business.
This one isn't this one. Nah, they could have this problem in PA tonight. It's 3,500. It'll be busy. This is more at concerts. Someone always thinks they can pull a fast one and smoke. You just huddle around. I'm gonna get a few puffs in.
We're in 2025.
If you like, I've never had a smoking addiction. You need to smoke that bad. You need to light one up at a concert or a sporting event. So that one's on there. Oh, what here? This will be actually really important. It's a good senior hockey one too in the last month. This will be important in PA tonight and probably in Weyburn. What's the etiquette on saving a spot? You just go elbows up. You go as wide as you can to try and then be like, hey, sorry, no, somebody's coming. Nope, somebody's coming. Do you put a blanket down? Do you put a purse, a hip pack?
Like, I feel there's like a cutoff when it comes to saving spots. Like if you're saving like one spot or two spots, okay. But if you're trying to save like a whole row,
No.
Like, you're just bringing the whole fam jam in the 8-seater sedan. Like, no.
Well, I don't think you get away with that in either of these barns tonight, whether in PA or Weyburn. You're not getting away with saving a row. You need rocks for brains.
Yeah,
No.
if they're not there by the time the puck drops, like, I feel like you gotta give her up.
And then, like, I was more going at standing room etiquette, because I think you got to be elbows up. And then I've been there. There's a time that if your people don't arrive, you just get squeezed out. You only can fight for so long, right? You only can battle for so long. And then, if one of you has to go to the bathroom, then hopefully you're cordial enough with the people around you by then that you say, hey, going to the bathroom, save a spot, going to get a beer, going to get a dog, popcorn, whatever. But if you're gone too long, go to long bathroom line. Ooh. Yeah. So there's a lot of etiquette. Out there. Keep visiting. If you got any that we haven't touched on, Prairie Land Rentals text line 936-6262. It is game 3 tonight in Weyburn. Weyburn won 2 in Flin Flon in the Whitney Forum. It's should be a good one. I think 1,600 is a sellout in Weyburn. Let's go Western Pizza guest hotline style and talk to Cody Mapes. We are efforting that right now. We have some problems. Let me know when we're good to go, boys. We're good? Okay, let's go. Head coach of the Weyburn Red Wings, Cody Mapes, back on the program. Big one tonight in Weyburn. We've been talking about it all day. Cody, let's be honest. I don't know. I was trying to get our stats guy, not that we have a stats guy, to let me know when the last time Flin Flon lost 2 meaningful playoff games at home in a row. I don't know when the last time that happened. Like, going up there and winning 2. Can you be honest with me? Were you hoping for maybe just a split?
Well, you know what? I think any time that you're the lower seed going on the road to start a series, the goal is always the split. If you happen to get game 1, you're kind of playing with house money after that, and so obviously we're very grateful the way it went. But we also understand, like, being through this last year where we went on the road and lost 2. We know this series doesn't really start till game 3. Like, they win game 3 and it's a whole new ball game. We win game 3, and obviously it's a pretty big deal. So we're just trying to be focused here for tonight.
What goes right in game 1 up there in the Whitney Forum? Because you guys come out right first period 3-0 lead. They get 1 in the second, no scoring in the third. What goes well up there for you guys in that atmosphere?
You know what? I think we were prepared well from a system standpoint and stuff like that. But I just think, like, and we have a whole bunch of guys that had never won a playoff series. They got that first one under their belt. I think the confidence grew a little bit. And honestly, we had a couple of guys that have played in Flin Flon in the playoffs before, and they're not necessarily leadership guys on our team. They don't wear letters, but they had a huge voice in saying, kind of what the guys to expect and stuff. And they really embraced it. The guys did a good job. It was the loudest rink I've ever been in when Flin Flon stepped on the ice to start that game. It was, I don't know how loud 500 air horns is, but I think there was 500 air horns there. And so, I mean, our guys really embraced that. And obviously, getting a goal early on helps to settle in real quick. But, I think just the mentality that our guys had from their teammates was a huge positive coming out of our group.
And anytime you got a goaltender like you do in Angelo Zoll, like a guy that can kind of keep things at bay for a while, that's always a bonus, right?
For sure, yeah, and you know what? Like I think both teams did a pretty good job to limit the chance. I know, like game one, yeah, we gave up 40 shots, but I mean, you get to that rink and 40 shots isn't a huge. It's pretty attainable, and so I mean, you know, I think the scoring chances when we got our stats back or analytics, like I think the scoring chances in game one were like 9-8 or 8-7 or something like that. So I mean, it was a fairly even game, and yeah, our hands was really good. You know, we believe in him a ton, obviously. And you know, he's been good for us all year.
Then you win game 2 4-1 again. You guys jump on them early, right? And then things are going your way. You get out to a 4-0 lead in that one. Like after that long ride back, Cody, obviously everyone's excited and all that. You get back home. Now you've had a couple of days. How do you guys as coaching staff, or do you have the leaders on that team to say, okay, back to reality here? Because like you said when we started this, you don't think the series starts until game 3.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? Our leadership group has been great. We've got a younger back end. We've only got one 20-year-old back there, and so. But what we do have is we've got a couple 3-year guys that have been through some playoff series before in our league and in other leagues, and they understand that momentum doesn't really carry over from game 2 to game 3. There's a long 2 days isn't a long time, but it feels like forever in the playoffs. 2 days off, teams can really kind of reset, and that's what we need to do here too. We just need to make sure that we stick to what gave us success, and we can't be too worried about what happened, because what happened doesn't matter anymore. It's gone, it's past, and it's a race to 4. It's not a race to 2, and so we got to make sure that we just give ourselves the best chance to stay at the things that gave us success.
Do you think you see their best tonight in the push in the first period?
Oh yeah, like Mike Reagan's played in or coached in 3 league finals in a row. He's been to 6 of them. He's going to have his guys going. Those I'm sure he absolutely made the most of his his 2 days off with his group. He's got 20 years under his belt here. Like he's going to have their guys going, and tonight'll be a good one. I fully expect to have their best.
What's the mood like in town? I'm sure it'll be 1,600 strong in the barn. What's the mood like in town?
Yeah, it's been good. I've kind of been out for breakfast, out for lunch here today, and lots of people saying hi and wishing us good luck and stuff. It's pretty exciting. Pretty exciting coming back. I mean, the buzz is pretty good for a Tuesday. I know ticket sales are going well, and so it's going to be good. We're excited for hopefully a full barn tonight. Right
on, Cody. Well, I know game days is tough. Totally appreciate you taking some time, and good luck tonight. Looking forward to checking it out.
Awesome. Thanks, Mark.
Cody Mapes. Young Cody Mapes. Like I said, big night in the Mapes, not in the Mapes household for the Mapes. Cliff and the PA Raiders in Game 7, and Cody and the Red Wings in Game 3. A lot of people I know going to that game tonight. I wish I was jumping in. Roscoe, there's your cue for a truck pick. Heading down to Weyburn. Let's go to break. Come back. We're going to have Coast to Coast with Arash Madani. It's the SportsCage, streaming sportscage.com. Always on, home of sports in Saskatchewan, local sports, 620 CKRM. Arash, my man. Hour 1 of the program, a little bit different. We're changing it up. I know you're a busy guy.
I appreciate you making that happen. Big help for my day.
So I'm at home on the weekend. Or when did it come down? Friday night, Sunday night, Saturday night, one of the nights. Everything's blending together.
Sunday night, I think.
And I go, oh, Vladimir Guerrero talk again. And I'm like, it's done. This is real. And I'm like, 14 years, $500 million. Did this have to happen for the Blue Jays?
Barney, it had to happen. It had to happen. I mean, you're talking about the face of the franchise. You're talking about, and I think you and I have talked about this before, number 27 jerseys, I would say 3 out of every 4 are Vlad jerseys in that building. This is a transformative player, a generational player, a face of the franchise player. And honestly, if his name was Juan Martinez, it'd be so different because in our country, Vladimir Guerrero is not just a second-generation ball player. Like, he was the heart and soul of the Expos, too. Like, Vlad's a guy, because of the lineage, that I think that no matter what happens, if you say Blue Jays to anybody in this country, if they know anything about the ball club, it's 27. And now you have a guy who is going to be, well, first of all, he's the third highest paid player in the history of the game. He's behind, Ohtani and Soto now. Now you're sending a message to your fan base that you're here for good. The other thing you're telling, Barney, is the rest of that locker room, the rest of that clubhouse, we're not dismantling things. We're here to win. And if you brought up the point, remember, trade deadline, if they're below 500, what happens? That now all goes away. It has to go away because you're giving the guy all the money.
Hang on to your jerseys. He's here. Right. You have to go get a new one. Or be that weirdo that wears the jersey of someone that just got traded. No. Okay, but I'm trying to go through my brain. And again, I'm not like the hardo baseball fan. But guys that the Blue Jays have nurtured, they drafted and they developed and signed, or then gave them a major extension. Who am I missing? Is this really the first big one?
Well, it's the first big one in, I'd say, like the social media era.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, regimes ago, they gave it to Vernon Wells and they gave it to Roy Halladay. But like Alejandro Kirk last week got, $58 million or something like that. He's the first one that's been homegrown to get an extension in this regime. So it's one thing to go trade for guys. It's another thing to bring in free agents like Kevin Gausman and George Springer. But there's a message there that we can draft, or sign and develop, draft and develop. That has to be part of your identity, of your DNA as a ball club.
What? 14 years is a long time. And what's the shelf life on that frame? Like, I saw him running the bases already. Is he 26? Like
25, he turns 26. Look, the last few years of the deal are not going to be, ideal. But like these are the things that happen. These are the things that you have to do. It's what Miguel Cabrera was in Detroit. It's what Albert Pujols was at the end of his deal. This is the cost of doing business. And there's the guy right there. For those watching on the stream, this is what I wonder. Remember, Barney, Vlad signed in 15. Bo Bichette was drafted in 16. They came up together in the minors. They're friends. What now happens with Bichette? They have been a package deal the whole way, right?
Yeah, that was my next question. Where do you think? Have you heard anything? And then, but maybe first off, where do you think that? What happens with Bo?
So Bo's a free agent at the end of the year. He signed a 3-year deal. He didn't go to arbitration. Last year missed half the games with an injury. But Bichette's in an interesting spot because when he's been healthy and he's been hot, he's been as good a player as there is in baseball. The problem is he hasn't been there. Now, he told my former colleague, Shai Davidi, in the Fenway Park locker room a day or two ago, he said they haven't even talked. So, look, it's a prove-it year for Bichette. It is a walk year for Bichette. And this is a full bet on yourself year for Bichette. I can't foresee a scenario where the Blue Jays, where Bichette doesn't get to at least the end of the season without a contract. Like, I think this is go 162. Let's see where we're at. And, you don't have an exclusive negotiating window, but you kind of do when the season ends, for that month of, is there something here or not? And I don't know. Because I don't know what the number is, because I don't know what Bichette's market number is going to be, because we haven't seen him be fully healthy in a while.
If it was this week, what do you think it would be? Injury included.
I think if I'm Bo, at that point, I take a 1-year deal and a prove it deal and a bet on myself deal. Kind of like what Marcus Semien did. He left Oakland. He came here to Toronto in 21, had a monster year, played all 162, and then got over $200 million from the Texas Rangers and went on to win a World Series. There are some times along the way, like, life's about timing, free agency's about timing. And I think for Bichette, hey, let me sign a 1 year and then see where it can take me right now. Now, let's have this conversation in September and see where things are.
I respect anybody that bets on themselves. Now, a lot of times you could look like an absolute fool. You could have a lot of I told you so's, but that takes stones. And I like it. What do you think? What do you think he wants to do? Like you've been around him, you know him. Like, do you think he likes Toronto enough? He likes the coming up with Vladdy, all that. What do you think?
It's a good question. Bo's a cards close to the vest kind of guy. Look, I think he wants to win. I heard the chime. I don't know what that's about. Is that an inside joke I just missed out?
It's just these guys. Yeah, they're trying to rip it off from another show. Let's go.
Cards close to the vest guy. Look, he wants to win. He wants to play every day. He wants to be a star. He wants to get paid. He wants to win. Does he believe all of that can happen in Toronto? That remains the question. Will the Blue Jays extend the kind of dollars that it'll take to sign a Bo Bichette if he has a monster year? That's another question. Like you're paying Guerrero 35-ish, 36-ish a year. You still have Jose Barrios for 3 more years. You have Gosman for another year, et cetera, et cetera. Are 2 infielders to you worth doing that and extending that offer to? That's the question too. It's a two-way street, Barney. Are the Blue Jays interested in making Bichette a big part of their future plans?
Blue Jays, what are they in Boston today? My mom was telling me earlier that it looks like it's raining in Boston. Like crazy.
It looked like February in Boston last night.
Yeah, I don't know if my mom's maybe watching one of the locals from Boston, and I'm like, what are you following the weather now in the New England area? Okay, let's shift it to the CFL. I wanted to get your take on this. Maz and I talked about it yesterday, and the Riders were doing a Florida camp or a couple of camps in Florida, testing the waters, collecting
free agent camp, sure,
VMOs or e-transfers or whatever for guys to come run around in their short pants, see if they can catch and run and kick or do whatever. Now, I think it's a love of the game thing for some guys. For some of the younger guys, it's like, hey, I just need my shot. I didn't get my shot, which is hard to believe because in this day and age, if you go through a college career and you got a lot of tape, it's not like the 80s. Right? A lot of tape. Guys can watch you play. Every football game in the history of the planet's on TV somewhere. You can watch it. So I find it hard for a guy to really fall through the cracks in this day and age.
But it's not just that. And I think that one of the things to think about is Alex Singleton. Alex Singleton comes out of college, Montana or Montana State. I can't remember which one. And the only reason he ended up in pro football is because, he had a parent that was a Canadian. So he qualified in those days as a non-import, as a Canadian. Now, Alex Singleton at age 21, 22 wasn't a professional. He wasn't an NFL caliber player. But he came up here and 3-4 years, I think it was 4 or 5 years of reps, of physically filling out, of understanding how to watch film, being a pro, et cetera, transformed himself by the time he was 26, 27 years old to getting an opportunity to signing in Philly, ends up in Denver, has created a nice little career for himself. The player and the athlete and the person you are at age 21 can be so different by the time you're 25 or 26. And especially if you're I'm just going to throw this out as an example of a scenario, Barney. If you're a junior in college, you're 3 games into your season, you blow your knee. by the time you're a senior, you're still not right. You may have gone to a small school. You may not have academically qualified. Those are some of the people who fall through the cracks.
Yeah.
Right? It's not just the 4 or 5 year players that they're looking at. There are a lot of people in different circumstances. Could come from a JUCO, could come from a Division II school. You see something there, and you're like, man, there's something there that we can work with for a couple of years to turn into a ball player.
That's a good point. I didn't think it about that much. You know, sometimes guys have to go home, right? Whatever, family things. Right. Back in the day, it's like, no, I had to go back and help on the farm around Sasky. You heard about with hockey guys. Yeah, no. So I didn't quite think of that. What do you think though about the CFL in general and guys making that decision? Because we all want to chase the dream, whatever your dream is, whatever your profession is, wherever you want to be. Like that window to chase that dream professionally is small. I wonder though too how much of a fact for some guys, current players that are maybe on the bubble, or guys coming up that they sit and look at the 70-cent dollar or even below and go, I don't know. I love chasing dreams, but chasing dreams doesn't pay the bills.
My man, I need you to think back to when you were 22 years old, 21 years old, 23 years old. The
Man,
one thing
I could stretch a Mickey of Silent Sam vodka like 10 days back then.
Right.
Just chase it with Gatorade, get to where you need to go, and then regroup later. Okay, go ahead.
The common denominator among all professional athletes is a supreme confidence. And for so many of them, it's give me a chance. Give me a chance to go up there. Let me play. Let me show what I can do. I'll get an opportunity. That'll be my chance to get back into the league, talking about the NFL. Or that may be an opportunity for me just to play. I just want to play. This may be an opportunity, okay, foot in the door, etc. Or also, Barney, and I'm being dead serious with this, a lot of these guys don't have other options. I'll still never forget arriving at the Orlando airport to the National Car Rental and a former first team SEC basketball player taking care of my car rental. You know, so it's one of those things where you want to play, you have supreme confidence that this can turn into something, you're looking for an adventure, you want to just keep this going for a few more years until, I'm going to move on with my life. There are so many different people in so many different scenarios who kind of take a look at this. But ultimately, if you come up here for the money you're making, you're not taking much home. So I just want to do this. And even people have become friends of mine, Canadians who played in the league coming out of, youth sports schools. They're like, what a way when you're 23 to 27 to learn about life in a locker room. Like, there is no better education on getting to know a human being from a different background than to share a locker room with them and to learn perspectives and all those kinds of things. And that kind of weighs into it too.
And etiquette and
discipline.
Being two-faced, being a backstabber. Like, there's, you know what I mean? No, like sports teaches
you run into all of it. You see the gamut, right?
Oh yeah. Like, you only last so long in certain locker rooms if you're that guy that's like going to the boss and tattling. Like, it's like, let me guess, you never played any team sports growing up. Am I right?
Correct.
Yeah. No, It's correct. Yeah, it's a good point. What and the other, so I talked about this a little bit yesterday with Maz, and I was like, I want to get Arash's take because I heard it on the weekend, and you can go down any rabbit hole you want in social media with the new commissioner, and then kind of the piling on to Randy Ambrosie. Again, I didn't really know the guy. I'm sure it's not an easy job. Could I do it? I don't know. I'd take a run at it, but I probably couldn't. That was a joke. Coles is looking at me like I'm serious. The one thing was not having the league play during COVID because there was nothing else going on. And then I went back to that time, and I was like looking through pictures where my wife was like cutting my hair and my kids' hair, and it was just weird. And people are gathering on driveways, and we're going grocery shopping, you feel like you were, am I coming back? Like I might never see my family again. It was just a weird time, and we had this fear, and then it kind of got a little bit better, but I was like, man, there was no way we were playing football in Canada during COVID.
But why? But here's the thing: the CTL,
the fear of God, was put into all of us from, the people above and all that. Like I feel like we were just so, I don't want to use the word brainwash, but I will. That it was like just this fear factor. And if they would have played football, there would have been groups and snowflakes and health. And it.
Barney, let me stop you, man. The NHL played. The NBA played. Hold on. Okay, you're saying those are Premier Leagues, right? Well, the Canadian Elite Basketball League played. The Saskatoon Rattlers and Friends. The Canadian Premier League Soccer League played. They both had a bubble of their own. There was a bubble presented to Randy Ambrosie and company. Randy was just so late on everything. He was so gun-shy on everything. There was a medical committee that presented things to him. And then, my biggest issue was not that. My biggest issue was, he said, we're not going to play in 20. Okay. We're going to use this time to fix the business model, to make things better, to create a sustainable financial model for the league. And nothing's changed. Then the next year at Grey Cup, he said, we fixed the business model. He actually said that twice in his State of the Union address. And then when somebody asked him, well, how have you fixed the business model? His answer, Barney, and I swear, his answer was, I didn't say that. So, cue the cartoon music,
I don't think the NHL bubble, and we talked about that. That was I would like to know the amount of work that went into making that happen and making it run fairly smooth and seamless. Canadian Basketball League, totally forgot about that. Not even sure what that would have all entailed. I don't know. So they would have capitalized on the TV deal and the fact that there was nothing else going on, and you had where were they going to bubble? Do you know that?
I do. I want to say Winnipeg was one of the places. I think they had two places in mind. I mean, it was 5 years ago now.
Just put everyone at the Viscount Gort there on Portage.
What a reference! Outstanding. The Canad Inn's Polo Park Motel.
I was at the Viscount Gort last year, and they still had all the COVID stuff up, like the screen. I had to hand my card through a little slot. And I'm like, this is like a COVID museum. This is awesome. Takes me back.
Did the lobby bar still have the white leather couches and all the dartboards up on the wall?
Oh no, I don't know. I was deep into the silent. I was deep into the silent Sam by the time I went down there.
There you go. You didn't have to nurse the Mickey last year.
What are you most looking forward to? CFA. I know we're in April, but as we sit in April on April 8th. What are you most looking forward to? And this might change in a month.
Nathan Rourke. Look, took the league by storm, went down, had the NFL thing, came back last year, just wasn't ready, etc. I mean, I follow him on IG. He is posting QB motion videos all the time. He is putting in the work. Can Nathan Rourke recreate the magic from a few years ago and really take the league by storm? This is no disrespect to Milligan in Saskatchewan or Oliveira in Winnipeg. The CFL lacked a superstar last year. Yeah, Bo turned it on towards the end of the season in Hamilton just to get in. But there is no player in the league that can grab national attention the way Nathan Rourke can. And here's his shot now. Okay, can he do it? He has a full off season. He can get with Buck Pierce. He can learn the offense. He can do all those things. Time is on his side, et cetera, et cetera. That to me is the question.
I think a lot of people are really curious on that. I'm really curious on how he plays, how he bounces back for sure. Came down late yesterday afternoon. We were doing the show. Shocking. The passing of former NHL goaltender, broadcaster, Hockey Night in Canada, Sportsnet, all that. Greg Millen. And he's a guy that, when it came down and Coulson and Curtis are here, and I'm like, didn't we just have him in here like a month ago? And then when was it? It was early December 5th. If you're watching the stream, there he is. Like Greg sat right in that chair right there. And it was such a good interview and conversation, Arash, and just from listening to the fan today, and I don't know what your memories are and where you want to go, but the one thing, and I can honestly say this, and it's kind of cheesy when people pass away and everyone's like, oh, but the one thing from my one meeting with him and spending 40 minutes with Greg or whatever it was, and the on camera and the off camera was, man, he was honest. Like I loved that. Like there was probably things that he told Barney, who he just met a little while ago. Like I'm like, I don't know, are we that tight already, Greg? He was just honest, shot from the hip. Like I appreciated that. What are your memories? What was? I'm sure you worked with him. You spent a lot of time with him.
Yeah, I traveled up and down the road with him in my days covering hockey on Hockey Night in Canada. When my former employer made the change to take me off Blue Jays, the first call that I got was from Greg Millen. When my former employer parted ways with me last month, 3 times, Barney, 3 times in less than a month, I received calls from Greg Millen. First one to say, WTF. The next 2, checking in, how you doing, blah, 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 thinking of you, hey, asking around what's going on. Greg, like for those who were watching the stream, like may have been the most fit 67-year-old you'll ever see. And those looking on the stream now, this is a shot at the lobby bar in Glendale, Arizona. We had done a Coyotes Senators game, myself, Greg Millen, and the great Bob Cole. And Millsy just loved Bob and did everything possible to lift Bob up, especially the last few years. That Bob was on the call. The first Hockey Night game I ever did when Sportsnet got the package, I think in 2013, 2014, it was the 3 of us in Tampa for the Lightning and the Senators. Millsy had an amazing ability, Barney, that he could go to any player, any coach, and they give him all the time. Like John Tortorella, who was short with everybody, I remember in Ottawa distinctly, down that hallway outside the visitors' room, when Tortorella was coaching the Blue Jackets, they stood for like 25 minutes talking about leadership and what makes a winning organization, what makes a championship team. He was the leader of he understood that the producer and the director and the stats person and the sideline reporter and the camera people and the graphics people, we were all a team. Millsy was the one after saying we all have to meet in the lobby bar for a milkshake. Millsy was the one who made sure, like he was a teammate and the leader of the team, and just an amazing guy.
Yeah, no, it's shocking. Yeah, it's shocking. Great guy. Man, the one question I asked him, and he loved it, I said, like, what were you wearing on your head, Greg? And I remember my old hockey cards and stickers, and I'm like, man, Greg Millen looked bad in his gear. And he's like, was it like a Tupperware or the mask? And he just loved it. He was just like, yeah, I have no idea what I was doing. I don't know what I was thinking back then. It was comfortable. Yeah.
So here's a story for you. So Millsy's he never begrudged the athlete of today making the money they did. But the one thing he would say is they can't complain about the travel. Because he's like, my rookie year, we're on a back-to-back. We're traveling commercial. So here I am trying to stay in the NHL. You play, say, in Chicago, and then the next day you have to fly to New York. So you get back from the rink. By the time you get to the hotel, it's like 11 o'clock or midnight. But then 4 a.m., you got to be in the lobby to take a bus to the airport. Here I am as the rookie having to play the second game of a back-to-back. And as the rookie, I'm in the back of the plane in a middle seat between 2 guys in suits who are smoking. They're blowing cigarette smoke in my face. And I'm just trying to get 2 hours of sleep before having to start an NHL game as a rookie. So I always think about that when I think of Millsy, the 2 businessmen blowing smoke in his face.
That's good. Okay, before we let you go here, I got to ask you one question. There's 2 massive hockey games in the province. Then we got a Game 7 in Prince Albert between Edmonton and Prince Albert Raiders in the Western Hockey League. And then down the road in Weyburn, Game 3, Weyburn and Flin Flon in the SJ. Now, we started it with talking about sporting event etiquette. And my big one is walking, getting up, coming to your seat while the play's on. Like, I'm just like, that drives me insane. What would be, and then Colson talked about being nice to the parking attendants, the concession staff. Curtis kind of talked about being obnoxious, the obnoxious fan, all that. What would be, another one for me is swearing by young kids. Like, not having the wherewithal of knowing all that. What would be your top one, Arash?
So who's the home team? Who's the road team in one of those games?
Prince Albert's at home tonight against Edmonton.
Okay, so if I'm an Edmonton fan, I'm coming into that rink. I don't care about Prince Albert. I don't care about your team. I'm cheering for my team. I'm not rooting against you. I'm not hoping things go wrong for you. I just want my team to win. I think a real part of the etiquette is, hey, like, I remember going to Cleveland once, Vikings playing the Browns, and the guy next to me is like, hey, bleep hole. He's like, you're welcome here because you hate your team way more than we hate your team. Don't swear around kids, and to hell with the opponent. You're rooting for your team, however it is the way you're going to root for your team.
And if you're standing room, here's the other question. If you're doing a standing room thing, doesn't matter what barn, what's a respectable time that you hold your buddy's spot before you got to give that up? Start of the game. Whatever
the length of time would be to 1, hit the bathroom, 2, grab a beer. So in a barn like that, 6 to 7 minutes.
Yeah, you hope the lineups. And I said, you just hope the bathroom lineups aren't long, and you start guzzling. Right. Yeah, no. All right, buddy. Thanks so much. Have a great weekend. You got Maz next week. I'm off. I'll be either celebrating my Masters. Oh yeah, Thursday. Yeah, Thursday. I thought it was Thursday for a second. Woohoo! Silent Sam's flowing, bud. All right.
I was gonna say, were you up getting a refill in the standing room section or what?
Okay, talk to you Thursday, Ash.
Good boys.
Coast to coast with Arash Madani for our good friend Brian Golly at Smart Investing Solutions. You got to be smart with your money. If you got any questions on the markets or what's going on, now's a really good time to call Brian Golly. You can find him at 546-2533. Oh, that was good. Some good Greg Millen stories. And then etiquette. I forgot about the swearing around kids one. Oh, I find that's a prick move. I hear you say something. Spandex guy?
Yeah, it's all these kids got to learn swear words from their parents first, right? You know?
Absolutely. If I could have said something there, I would have. It is a sports. It's an hour already, boys. On the solo front, we come back. Cal Filson is going to be with us in studio. We'll talk some Western Hockey League draft coming up, the draft lottery. Cal currently scouts for the Chicago Blackhawks. Also an hour two, Clutch Performer, SJHL Report. It is the Sports Cage on Tuesdays for Sask Lotteries. We're streaming at sportscage.com, and we are on 620 CKRM. Welcome back, hour two. It is for Sask Lotteries. Like the big voice said, it's Barney Shynkaruk, the C's, with you on this Tuesday. Man, if you are anywhere driving distance, I think we pretty much all are driving distance from Prince Albert, it's a place to be tonight, but it's sold out. So unless you got a handle on some secondary market tickets, or you know someone that can kick open a side door at the Art Hauser, sorry Cliffy and Mike up there, but it is the place to be. It's Game 7 tonight, Prince Albert Raiders, Edmonton Oil Kings in their Western Hockey League series. It's game day. You don't get the broadcaster a lot on game day. He's busy, but lucky enough, let's go out on the Western Pizza guest hotline. Great night not to cook. You probably watch this hockey on the free Victory Plus network. Pick up a pie. Nick Nielsen joining us. And he's at the Hauser already.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like, you got to be kind of pinching yourself that you get to call this series. It has been, just from following it from afar, Nick, it's been wild.
It has been insane so far. And I got to say, I love that you're rocking the old Raider hat there, first of all, Barry. That's fantastic. But yeah, I mean, this series has been unreal. It's been so feisty from start to finish. There's been some really, really physical games. This place was absolutely insane on Friday with 3,200 people here. It's the loudest building I've ever been in. I've been hearing about the hype of the playoff atmosphere at the Art Hauser Center all year before I got here. And I started to hear about it enough that you start to go, can it actually live up to the hype? And it exceeded it. Like, I cannot, I haven't slept in 2 days getting ready for this game.
Split in PA to start the series, then go back to Edmonton and lose both there. Like, why the big swings in this series, and then PA's won the last two to force Game 7 tonight? Like, what can you put your finger on there?
Yeah, so I can put my finger on the first two games and the two wins for the PA. And, you take a look at Game 1 where the Raiders, we've had one of the best power plays in the league all season. We get a power play in the first couple seconds of the game. And then credit to Grayson Sauchin, who takes the puck away and he scores a shorthanded goal 29 seconds into the series here in Prince Albert. And I think that kind of rattled the Raiders a little bit. And the crowd, it really took the crowd out of Game 1. So, you didn't have that to feed on here. Game 2, I feel like it came maybe a little too easy for the Raiders in the 6-1 win here. Yeah, Edmonton, they put forward a pretty solid push, but, it was almost hard to build momentum off it because how do you go up from the 6-1 win almost? It was kind of like that feeling there. The energy going to Game 3 and Game 4, the bus was a little quieter. We had that day off in Edmonton, or a day off to travel and get situated in Edmonton before we played Game 3 and Game 4. And, we played hard in both those games, just didn't come away with the wins. But then there's Game 5. And like I said, 3,222 people in this building, and it's the loudest building I've ever been in. I was in Flin Flon at the Whitney Forum for the SJHL finals last year. This was louder, and I can't believe I'm saying that because I barely think my ears survived the Whitney Forum. But, just blown out loud, and I can tell you for a fact that this team was inspired by that crowd from Game 5, and that carried through to Game 6. The bus was so much more loose and relaxed, and the guys I talked to before the game, Rylan Kovacevic and Harrison Lodwick specifically, they were so excited to bring hockey back to the Art Hauser Center before Game 6. That was the goal, and now we're here.
I watched Game 7. I'm watching the game tonight. I'm going to split screen it with the Weyburn Flin Flon game. But I watched Game 6, and my daughter's with me, and I'm like, oh, okay, PA scored a couple. All right, they're good. And then Edmonton comes right back and scores 2 to tie it up. And there was a part that I'm like, am I watching highlights? Is this a live feed, or are they just showing highlights? That's what it was, though.
Yeah, and I mean, the Oil Kings, they came back like a freight train. 61 seconds, they scored twice, and all of a sudden the game's tied. But I don't know, for whatever reason, up in the booth, you get a feeling every once in a while when your team's not losing. And shortly after that, we get a double minor for a high sticking call, and we kill it off. And when you're in the back half of the third period and you see that effort where the team kills off that clutch penalty kill, you could just feel it. And then that final minute came, and we get one on the power play. And I mean, 2 seconds after the faceoff's won, boom, it's in the back of the net, and we're coming home.
One guy we got to watch a lot in this area last year make the run with Moose Jaw. You mentioned him, Rylan Kovacevic. How good has he been? And then having that, I guess you talk about being on the bus a lot, having that elder statesman, that older guy that's been through it. What you seen the importance there amongst his peers?
Absolutely. I mean, he's one of the few guys on this team who has Game 7 experience from last year in that series against Saskatoon. That's something huge to build off of. You're a championship caliber player. And, when he came in with the Raiders, he came in like crazy. I think he put up something like 8 points in his first 5 games with the Raiders. And then he kind of tailed off a little bit. And for whatever reason, I'm not sure, just kind of through that middle portion of the season, sometimes guys battle it out a little bit and are gripping their sticks a little extra tight, and that was kind of the case for Covey. And then with 6 games left in the season, we were in Lethbridge, and I was all excited. They put him together with a new line, a couple of the young guys in Kovacevic, and I really liked the combination there. And they scored in their first shift of the game, and then Kovacevic on the second shift, he ends up hurt, and we lose him for the last 5 games of the regular season. And all of a sudden, it was like, right as it looked like he was starting to, find that groove again. And then he comes back for game 1 of this series, and he's been one of our best players in this playoff run, capped off by that 4-point performance in game 6. I mean, 3 primary assists and the shorthanded goal. And the kicker to it is I asked him before the game, because I interviewed him before game 6, and he told me he wasn't happy with his production so far, even though I thought he'd been playing pretty good in the playoffs. Told me he wasn't happy with his production, puts up a 4-point night. And I asked him, Covey, how you feeling now? And he said, I'm not happy yet. I won't be until we win this series. So that's the mentality of this team in that dressing room behind me.
The story has been well documented too, right? Max Hildebrand, the goalie, his father's one of the associate general manager in Saskatoon. They almost pull off this weird upset last year for Prince Albert. He is absolutely loved in that community, and he should be. If he wins this game tonight, like, I'm thinking Max will never have to pay for anything at the Venice House in Prince Albert again, right?
Yeah, no, I know it's the case here too. Max Hildebrand's beloved in this city, and for good reason. I mean, the guy creates high robbery constantly, and I made the joke on Twitter at the start of the year I was going to have a bill at the end of the season for my throat doctor, because the saves that he makes, I end up blowing my top on him constantly. And I mean, he's been doing it again and again and again. And Bemidji State's got a great goaltender coming to them next year. If he's not goaltender of the year, I will be surprised and maybe upset.
Yeah, well, no, you can be. I can't wait to see. How many milk crates do you think people will be hauling in that place tonight?
Oh, if only it wasn't something that's had the kibosh put on it. I would love to see the milk crates.
Come on, PA.
Yeah, they kiboshed it after the 2019 finals, so unfortunately that's not a thing here anymore. But I'm still calling it milk crate night at the Hauser. It's got a good ring to it.
PA, I thought you were tough. Even PA is getting soft. What a world. Okay, well, have a great...
If you watch this series, I wouldn't say that anymore.
Have a great call. Thanks for taking some time on a game night, and looking forward to watching this one tonight.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Barry.
Yeah, it is from the Prince Albert Raiders, Nick Nielsen. Going to be wild up there in Prince Albert. If it wasn't 4 hours away. Yesterday, what do we had? I had 2 people offer to drive if I could somehow get tickets, and no, it would. It's something you got to go if you're in the area. We're gonna keep the Western Hockey League talk going. We'll go to break. We come back. Cal Filson will be in studio, a former scout, kind of one of the architects in the Seattle Thunderbirds that beat our Regina Pats. Back in the playoffs a few years ago. Cal will join me. It is the Sports Cage on the home of sports in Saskatchewan, 620 CKRM. Prairieland Rentals, text line Prairieland Rentals, 600 Albert Street, since 1986. Can help you out with the job you have this spring. Trevor's up in Saskatoon listening. He said he was in PA today, contemplated going to Game 7, but decided to head back to Stoon to get some work done. He was a bit surprised that there wasn't a Game 7 buzz in the city. I don't know, Trevor. Maybe you were just in the wrong spots in the city today. It'll be off the charts. Did you go down to the West Flats? They'll be getting busy down there in PA tonight. So, yeah, thanks for the text, though, Trev. If you're heading to that game, 3,500 sold out. They added this morning on social media. It should be a good one. Lucky enough, no Western Pizza guest hotline. He's in studio. Cal Filson made the long walk over to join us here. You've been in that barn a ton. You were watching this series. You said PA and Edmonton. What game were you at? And it's been really like back and forth, almost weird.
Yeah, last week I was up in Edmonton for Game 4. Edmonton won pretty handily and looked like that put them up 3-1, and it looked like they were gonna finish off the series in short order, but PA just battling back.
Who was impressing you on the ice, both teams, with your scouting eyes?
Yeah, for PA, Aiden Oring's been really lighting it up. Rylan Kovacevic, we saw it with Moose Jaw last year, and with PA this year, he works so hard. He's such a good, 200-foot player. If the team's lacking energy, he'll get out there and drag you into the fight. And then, Max Hildebrandt has just been unbelievable. He pretty much single-handedly dragged PA to the, winning the Eastern Division. Yeah. And then, in the playoffs, he's been unreal, standing on his head. Yeah.
Has there been Western Hockey League playoffs as a whole? Has there been a surprise for you yet? A guy that spends so much time in the league, still watch a lot of hockey?
No real surprises. Seattle pushing Everett as far as they did, that wasn't a big surprise to me. If you actually really look at it, Seattle was one of the best teams in the league after the trade deadline. They beat Everett twice after the trade deadline. They actually went to Spokane, beat them twice in the last few weeks before the season ended.
What did they do? Did they add? Did they get rid of? Did they just play younger guys? Or
they did trade one of their top defensemen, Sawyer Minio. He was on the World Junior team, and they traded him to Calgary. What they didn't do was trade Scott Ratzlaff. He was actually on the World Junior team as an 18-year-old. Didn't have a great start to the year. Didn't have a great summer camp, and so he didn't make the team as a 19-year-old, which is actually a really good thing for Seattle. They didn't lose him for a month, and they were able to start clawing their way back. At the trade deadline, they also added Sherman from Moose Jaw, and that was pretty much what started pushing them. They also have a defenseman. Out here, you're not going to hear much about him, Radim Murtka. He's going to be a top 10 pick in the NHL draft probably. So he's a 6'4", 6'5" right shot D-man that just eats minutes. And he wasn't playing when Seattle came out here early in the year. He joined the team in November, and adding a guy like that is a huge thing for the Western League.
So we got in the West, you got Everett now going to play Portland because Portland beats PG in a long 7-game series there last night, and then Spokane is going to match up against Victoria now. Both of those series, can you pick a winner? How do you think those are going to go?
It looks like it should be Everett and Spokane. Everett's kind of beat up right now. Seattle, that goes back a long ways. They're big, they're heavy, and they, Landon DuPont hasn't played in that series. He didn't play in that series after game 2. Tyler McKenzie, one of the Everett top players, he was injured. They had 3 or 4 guys that were knocked out of that series with injury, and they were still able to soldier through. And they're pretty good. They got good goaltending. They've got big, strong defensemen, and they've got some pretty good top end players. Does
Portland have a lot of players that we would have saw last year in Moose Jaw come back?
They've got some. They were one of the teams that really started adding players once the NCAA rules changed. They probably added 3 or 4 guys that weren't even here early in the year and then came along just before Christmas, and that's really helped them. I still think Everett's going to be the team to beat out there. Spokane's going to be tough too. They got a lot of firepower, adding Andrew Cristal and then they have Berkeley Catton, and they're a good team as well.
Yeah.
I think Everett's going to be the team to beat out there.
You mentioned the teams adding American players. So in this whole NCAA junior hockey players being able to go, major junior hockey players being able to play, you were in the league a long time. I think you and I talked, and it was something that long time coming that was going to happen. What is that meaning to a lot of these Western League teams now? Because there would have been so many. It would have been such a battle back in the day having to convince kids to go, okay, no, the USHL is great, but we can offer you this and this and this. How has that changed?
It's really going to change for these kids trying to. You're going to be chasing after the Americans a little bit in Minnesota. They're still going to want to go play for their local high school team and play in that year-end tournament and try and have the best hair. And then they're going to want to play for the Gophers. The Western League isn't going to be something that they're considering. Yeah. But that's actually changing. I'm talking, I still talk to agents and I talk to guys from the Western League, and there's more and more parents and families and even agents that live down there that want to talk about the Western League and see what the options are, because there has to be some sort of buffer zone between high school hockey and then college hockey, and they're learning that, once you see the kind of players that have come through the Western League in the last 15 years that are still in the NHL, those are the guys that you want to go play like.
Give us a look, Western Hockey League. Like, where do you draw the line that the Western Hockey League gets kids? Like, is it like Texas and where's that line that for American kids?
Texas, and then sort of works its way up to Minnesota. So and then anywhere west of there.
Okay. And back in the day, I'm sure, because hockey's just exploded and we've seen it and you've seen it probably more than anyone else. Like there's kids everywhere playing the game, right? Like, how hard is it to scout, let's say, that California, that Texas, Arizona kid? Are you relying on a lot of tape and watching, or also guys that are the hockey network must be huge?
We were. I would go down to events like they have you're really focusing on Pacific, like California, and then Rocky Mountains. There's not as many high-end teams down there as you'd think, and the top-end kids travel. Like, it's kind of gotten to be like the academies here, where instead of staying at home, you can't just stay at home. Like, there's a kid from San Diego that's a hot shot. Well, he's got to go up and play with the Anaheim Ducks or the LA Kings program. There's a kid from Texas. He's got to go to Dallas and play with the Dallas Stars program. And so these kids go to these high-end places, and then they travel too.
Everywhere, yeah. I learned that last year. Yeah. It's like every weekend they're hopping on airplanes, and it's not cheap. Big day on Thursday. Mm-hmm. It's the WHL draft lottery. So we got Moose Jaw, the Pats, and Kelowna. Moose Jaw's pick is obviously the Edmonton Oil Kings have that. This draft lottery, like, through your years, would you be participating in that and then watching it closely?
Yeah, absolutely. When one of my first years when I was scouting with Seattle, we were in third last. It actually worked out. The last night of the regular season, we had a game with Everett. The winner made the playoffs, and the loser hits the draft lottery.
Yeah.
That's how. And then we end up jumping from third worst, so where Kelowna is right now, to winning the lottery. And that was when that was when Matt Barzal. So that was a real lottery win to be able to get Matt Barzal, and that was really what started kind of turning the page and what you've seen from the Seattle Thunderbirds in the last 10 to 15 years. That was really where it started.
Oh, I didn't know that's how you guys landed Barzal, was with you had the longest odds for the lottery, because I wrote it down here somewhere. It goes, for people that a lot of people are out there wondering too. The odds for the first pick overall: Edmonton via Moose Jaw, 57.1% chance; Regina, 23.8% chance; Kelowna, a 19% chance. So those are the only teams that can get the first overall pick, thanks to John Keen's Twitter yesterday for that. But that 19% chance, that's still in play. Have you seen that a lot?
Not a lot, for sure. Because how it works is everybody that misses the playoffs is actually in the lottery, and then it's just one team wins it, and then whoever's ping pong ball gets drawn can move up 2 spots. And so even if it's the 5th place team drawn, they go up to 3rd now. And so you're not, but then everything else stays the same. 1 and 2 are the same. Now you're 3 and 4, 5, 6 all back up.
Obviously, Maddox Schultz, Pat Canadians roll through Westerns and all that. As a scout, when you watch Maddox play, and I'm sure you've watched him for years, what do you see there?
Yeah, I watched Maddox quite a bit when he was still in Bantam, I guess, playing with the Pat Blues when he was 12. I was still scouting full-time with Seattle then. I didn't actually get a chance to watch them a couple years ago, but this year I went and saw them twice. I happened to go at the Circle K tournament. That it was a pretty famous game against Pittsburgh when he scored the 4 goals, scored with under a second left to tie it, scored the OT winner. I actually made it to that game, so that was pretty fun to watch. And then in the summer, I work for Sean Steeb at Polar Power Hockey School, and I'm on the ice with kids quite a bit. And, right from when he was 12 years old, you could see there was something special there. Nobody outworked him. When the coach blows the whistle and wants everyone to do one hard lap, he's one hard lap at full speed. Everyone else is kind of pretending they're skating hard, but not him. Everyone's skating, doing the lines. He is putting both feet over the lines. He's just the hardest working kid on the ice, and just a nice kid, great kid. Like,
Yeah.
you know, lots to like, and whoever wins this lottery, that's going to be a big game changer.
You mentioned the Matt Barzell, and you and I have talked to over a few pints and stuff, how he was like such a hockey nut, right? Like student of the game, and he was just like that. Interviewing Maddox here, I kind of felt a little bit of that. Like he loves the game, he knows the guys. He's not probably to the extent that Barzell was, but you know, Maddox as a player, and then what you know of him as a kid, does he remind you of anybody from your years?
The way he plays, he reminds me of Sidney Crosby. Okay. You know, he's such a complete player, such a complete 200-foot game. But then the offense, like he's led that league in scoring as a 14-year-old. That's no one's done that in Saskatchewan, I don't think, ever. So you know, he's a phenomenal player. There's a lot of excitement there. If he was 6'3" or 6'4", he would be, you know, being compared to McDavid and guys like that. But he's an unreal player.
I'm interested to get your take on Penticton and all that, but let's you stick around. Yeah. Let's go to a break here, and then we'll come back. It's Cal Filson joining us live in studio. It's the SportsCage on the home of sports and hockey in Saskatchewan, 620 CKRM. Let's get the clutch performer time of the program for Nick Service in Emerald Park. Like you said, Kay, I got a few. First off, Dan Da Silva. We've had him on the show. Buddy from up in Saskatoon, first-year head coach with the Saskatoon Blades. He's a nominee for Coach of the Year. Great job, Western Hockey League. Also, the U-Sport East-West Bowl is May 10th in Waterloo. 4 of our kids on that. Riley Schick, Ethan Graham, Colin McKellar, Carson Sombach. Good on you guys. East-West game. You had one, Colson?
Yeah, I got one. I know we gave it to him yesterday, but a little fresh clutch performer for Alex Ovechkin. He texted Olaf Kolzig being like, "Hey, congrats on being part of history." And Kolzig was like, "Yeah, you scored on me once. What do you mean?" He's like, "No, you assisted on 5 of my goals."
Yeah.
Kolzig didn't even know this. So clutch performer for Alex Ovechkin on like remembering the guys who helped him get there, which we already knew he did this, but like to the extent of reaching out to his goalie who played with him, got some assists on those goals. Like, team player right there.
That's awesome. The Big Olaf used to have an ice cream store in Waskesiu named after him. Joining me in studio, Cal Filson, former scout. What was the highest title you had with the Seattle Thunderbirds?
Director of Player Personnel.
Director of Player Personnel. Sounds way better. And then now with the Chicago Blackhawks, if you're watching the stream, like some of the buddies are, you see them. Let's go back. Let's go to Penticton now. It gets announced. Maybe it's because I'm so clueless. I was shocked that it's like you turn this around and starting in the Western Hockey League next year. Now, the thing that I am racking my brain with is coaching staff aside, all that. What are they going to do for scouting? Right? A lot of these teams have been scouting kids all year. Are they going to poach scouts from other organizations? What would be the play there?
That's a great question. I know they've hired head scout, assistant GM, director of player personnel, whatever it is that they're going to give whatever title they're going to give him.
And where was he working? Do you know?
From what I heard, he was in Sherwood Park. Oh, okay. So he was also in the BCHL.
Yeah.
So those guys aren't scouting the 14 or U15 Bantam kids. Yeah, they're not scouting the Bantam or not watching the Bantam draft. It'll be a crash course. They've known, like it really sounded like that was in early February. So right around when Sask First was here. So, you know, I don't know if they did, but they could have had someone here to watch that. And then you watch the playoffs and then, you know, the sports school playoffs in Penticton right in their backyard there. They would have been there. And then now the year-end events coming up right before the Western Hockey League draft. So, you know, there is a way to do that, but, you know, it'll be interesting to see how it all goes. The expansion draft is right before that as well. They could still be playing. So they're, you know, focused on, you know, their playoff run. They're the top team in the BCHL this year, one of them anyways. They're right now they're up 2-0 in their series against Okotoks. So they got a lot to worry about on top of WHL draft.
This might be a real tough question, but is there a few kids on the team that can make the jump to the Western League next year?
Yeah, there's a couple. There's 2 or 3 kids that have that have, are on lists already for other teams. I'm sure there will be some sort of trades or deals made so, they can stay in Penticton. There's an expansion draft, so they can be left unprotected. But again, there'll be all kinds of side deals. It'll be interesting. I'm kind of excited to watch all that from afar and see how all that shakes out.
Good spot for the Western Hockey League.
Phenomenal. I don't know if anyone's ever been to that building. It is a top tier facility, world class, about 45 minutes from Kelowna. So, hopefully you can get a real good rivalry built up between these two towns right away. Looking forward to going to more games there.
What else do you know about like the inner workings in the organization? Is there a couple of people really tugging on a lot of different jobs right now?
Yeah, Fred Harbison's he was the president, coach, GM, kind of everything with the
it's like a senior
team. Yeah, exactly. With the BCHL, and now he's going to have all those roles in the Western League. So, he's going to be the man behind everything in Penticton. I actually had a chat with him this weekend. I was in Penticton watching a BCHL game and met with him before the game, and they're pretty ready. They're just waiting on all the teams to submit them their lists for players that are going to be not protected in the expansion draft, and they're working on their draft list, just diligently getting ready on top of planning to run through the BCHL playoffs. So,
Bantam draft, and it's such a big thing. You got all these kids waiting for the Bantam draft. As a guy that scouted, saw kids, see kids developing at different times, how important for you guys in Seattle was the Bantam draft, or was it more the continuing to watch and list kids and scout them? It's
a whole bunch of both. In the Bantam draft, we talked about Matt Barzell, and then in that same draft, we drafted Keegan Kolazar and Ethan Bear. Those were our first 3 picks in that draft. Just home run. And then that puts you on the path to beat the Regina Pats here in 2017. And then we turned it around fairly quickly, and we drafted, Thomas Milic, Reed Schaefer, Lucas Siona. We drafted Kai Uchaz. We ended up trading him to Red Deer for Grayson Sachin, who's on the championship team. So we built it through the draft, but then also we had scouts out there watching, and so we were able to list some kids too that weren't a kid like Matt Rempe. We didn't draft him. We listed him. Jared Davidson, drafted by the Montreal Canadiens. He's signed with Laval. He's playing in Laval right now. Jeremy Hansel ended up getting drafted by Colorado. Now he's in Nashville system. So, it's both. You have to work your ass off, get out there and draft kids. And then you got to get out there and keep on watching after the draft and keep on making sure you're watching for free agents. I don't know that I'm sure there is some bantam aged parents out there listening right now. And it's kind of a debate, not a debate, but a conversation I've had with some other guys that scout, that are in the Western League and all that. How do you compare the academy route right now to playing in a provincial league like the Sask Bantam AA League? What's your take? It depends on what you're looking for and what kind of coach you're going to be able to get. Like I've talked to a parent who he was the one that was coaching his kid in a small town here in Saskatchewan. He was the head coach and he knew what his limitations were. And that was going to be, he was going to coach the AA team where his son was going to be, or he could send him off to an academy, and he ended up sending up to NAX in Edmonton to get better coaching and develop better. And that's the situation. But unless you absolutely have to, it doesn't matter. We're going to be out there as a scout. You're going to be watching. If you're in Regina, every scout's going to be watching the Graham Tour tournament. They're going to watch SAS first. They're going to watch the second SAS first. There's no reason to leave and go play in the academies to get scouted. You're going to get scouted no matter where you are. We're going to come find the talent. There's no reason for you to spend any more money than you have to. Spend it on extra power skating, spend it on extra skill development, spend it on, extra skates. There's no need to spend it on the academies unless there's something that you can get out of them that you can't get at home. Yeah, that's a good point. Now you're with Chicago, right? Now what is it, 2 years in? This is my second year, yes. Yeah. What's the experience been like? It's world class. Everything's NHL like you'd expect. Working with Kyle Davidson and Mike Donaghy and Norm McIver, and they're just phenomenal people, and it's a phenomenal group. And I work really closely with Colin Fraser. He lives in Sylvan Lake, and great guy, phenomenal. Like it's great. It's a lot of travel, just different kind of travel. Like when I was in the Western League, you'd go to a tournament and hang out in the same hotel and same rink for 4 days. But now, like, you're in Spokane one night, you're in Everett the next night, you're in Lethbridge the night after that, you're in Edmonton the night after that. It just keeps on, you keep on going. But
and how difficult is it from scouting a 14-year-old to, what are the different things you're looking now in the position with Chicago and scouting guys that are near 20 years old?
It's funny because you're not looking at a lot different. When you're watching 14-year-olds, you're trying to figure out who's going to be the best 18, 19-year-olds. And now when you're watching 17-year-olds, you're trying to figure out who's going to be the best 22, 23-year-olds. So, you're kind of looking for the same things. You're always looking for guys that are smart and can skate and that compete and, good humans that are going to, be good in the dressing room. You want guys that are going to be leading the way in the gym, leading the way in the community. So you're looking for the same kind of players, whether you're looking in the Bantam draft or in the NHL draft.
Young team still in Chicago, right?
Oh yeah. Like it's been, from the time that Kyle Davidson took over, it's been a complete and total rebuild. Tore down the frame, tore down everything, burned the house down. And it, from the outside looking in, it looks like things aren't going that well because, they're not winning, but this is kind of where we expected to be. Maybe not as quite as maybe 2 or 3 wins less than we were expecting at this point. But the way the guys are developing, like in the last week, we played Colorado, Washington, and Pittsburgh. So, playing against some of those greatest players of all time with in those groups, McKinnon, Crosby, Makar, and, been holding our own. We had Colorado on the ropes, and then they ended up beating us in a shootout. Beat Pittsburgh on the weekend, and then we're close with Colorado and didn't let Ovi let him get 2, but not let him get that record.
Isn't it wild though that he beat it? Like, you and I are from the same demographic, same birth year for the most part. It's hard to believe that record fell.
It really is. Like, and I wouldn't have picked him to do it either. I would have thought maybe. Someone like, again, more from our era, like Brett Hall or guys like that. Yeah. But just Ovi's just the Russian train that just doesn't stop.
And you look at his frame, his post game after, like it looks like, and then looks like he's playing senior hockey, right? Like, give me some beers, crushing beers. He doesn't, get up and down the ice. He's never really been, the fastest. He's opportunistic, isn't he?
Absolutely. His shot and his hockey sense are off the charts. So, anytime you could put him in a spot where he can get a one-timer, look out. And you got to defend it. And they haven't defended it 800 and some times. Like he's so good.
And I know in your position, you can't gamble and all that and all that. I got the Keniston Super Draft thing here, but in the West, is it going to be a dogfight with the teams that everyone's talking about from what you think, or is there going to be a team that maybe people aren't talking about as much, have a good enough chance to get out of the West?
I don't know if there's anyone that you wouldn't talk about. It looks like the 8 teams are settled now, but like who's at the bottom, Minnesota and St. Louis, like you're not picking against them really. Like it's going to be whoever stays healthy, whoever has a hot goalie, whoever's able to, get opportunistic goals. It's going to be hard work, a lot of luck, and there's not going to be any shock if anybody gets through and wins the West, even the East. Really, like it's tight. It's tight. Everything's so tight. It's hard to win in hockey now, and everybody works so hard. Everybody can skate. Everybody competes. That there's just these little angles that helps you win, and that's what the teams are looking for.
Right on. Thanks for coming in.
Anytime.
Yeah, that was definitely insightful. No way about it. Let's take a break. What do we have? SJHL Report coming up with Benny Walchuk right after the break. It is the Sports Cage on 620 CKRM. It is Tuesday. Time to talk to Benny Walchuk. Oh, what are they playing in the background there?
Figure skaters have it going rocking. I'm not sure what the song is. Not Saturday Night Get Together.
Sounds like an Air Supply, maybe a Richard Marx. Yeah, figure skating. SJHL Report is for So the main line, Chrysler, right now, if you want to make the trip 30 minutes north of Regina, worth the drive, every time guaranteed, you can save up to $11,000 on a 2024 Ram 3500. Talk to Cody Mapes in hour one, Benny. So we'll get to that series in a second. Again, I know I'm not making it sound like I talk to a lot of guys, but I've been talking to people, Melfort, like people that get to see him live and in person for the first time, just how fast, strong, big, can play mean they are. What's your assessment of the Melfort Mustangs in the playoffs?
Yeah, it's a defensive core that's very, very veteran. They're hard to play against, especially in the Melfort zone. And goaltending's makes some good saves for Christian Coombs has been good. And then their forward unit just taking advantage of it. They're a team that if you make a little mistake, it's going to probably end up as a good scoring chance or in the back of your net. And if you take penalties against this team, they're going to capitalize. And that's been the biggest factor right now. I think Terriers are 0 for 9 in the power play in the series, and Melfort's 4 for 11. So that's been the biggest difference. I know the Friday night game got away from the Terriers a little bit, but on Saturday they were probably the better team that game, just didn't capitalize on their chances, and then got undisciplined at some times where they had to kill off about 10 minutes in penalties with 2 5-minute majors. So it's discipline's a big thing. That's the message from Emery Olausson going into game number 3 tonight, is going to be discipline against this team, and you can't make many mistakes like you did in the opening 2 games.
You mentioned Melfort's goaltending a bit there. I can't remember who's the goaltender in Melfort, because one of those things is like, you're playing such a good hockey team, and then it's like, then you finally get a chance, and you got this stellar goaltender back. One of the most frustrating things I remember playing.
Yeah, Christian Coombs is the goaltender, and you got Madden Malaka. Of course, you spend time with the Pats, but Christian is a guy, maybe not the most technically sound goaltender, but seems like a little bit unorthodox at times, but he's making the stops when he has to. It's just like those old school goalies. But it's the guy likes to play the puck too. But when you're playing behind a defense core like they have, and they're playing without their defenseman of the year, Nick Andrusiak, who's out due to an injury as well. So that just shows the depth in this roster, the next man up mentality. And when you have a guy back there who's making the stop, you definitely have more confidence up front.
Will home ice and having that last change, will that help Yorkton at all?
I think so. Like Melfort's trying to play their kind of their checking line that just plays defense against the top unit with Jaron Denoyer, David Coyle. So I think that either get those guys on the ice a little bit more, maybe split them up here at times in the series. But I think home ice, I think this game 3 is going to be good for the Terriers. I think they're going to get off to a good start here if they can sustain it. I think they have a chance to get back in the series. But this is a pivotal game. This is a pivotal first period to get off to a good start, show that they can play with this hockey club. And they played well here at home. I think they just, the way the atmosphere, just like any other hockey team, they play well on home ice. And I think if the Terriers can win here in game number 3, it could be a whole different series. I mean, you can go in for a very long time, despite the results in the opening 2 games.
What kind of crowd will they get tonight there in Yorkton?
I think Melfort's going to travel well. I think there might be a fan bus coming in. I'm not sure, but I think they'll still travel well. There's a lot of guys from the Saskatchewan region on this Melfort roster. And I think with the Yorkton Terriers, I think with the success of their opening round series against Melville, despite the opening 2 losses at Melfort, I think the guys and the fans have bought back into the Terrier organization. So I expect a pretty good crowd. I don't think there's too much bingos going on here in the community here on a Tuesday. So I think Tuesday is a good crowd on hand. So it should be great. The weather is really nice. Snow's melting. So I think it should be a very active crowd. I know they got some rally towels happening right now. So it should be a good atmosphere here too.
Underground. Maybe there'll be underground games, underground bingo games. You know how those are out there. Helen, I heard, has a doozy of one. The other series, man, I talked to Cody Mapes. We'll probably play that interview again in hour 3. And I said, Benny Walchuk might know the stat, actually. When's the last time a team rolled into the Whitney Forum in the playoffs and stole 2 like that?
I don't know what the playoff is. I think it's been like 6 or 7 years that a team went there and stole both games. I think it was Kindersley or something like that back in the day. But yeah, it doesn't happen very often. It's usually you get them maybe Laurent's Flin Flon trip, and then you get them on a back-to-back nights in Flin Flon, so they get an advantage. But yeah, it doesn't happen very often. And Boyd, the Weyburn Red Wings, I know, talked to a lot of people there at that game, and they said that's the best they've seen the Weyburn Red Wings play all season long. So they're peaking at the right time, and they're getting that good goaltending. And Angelo Zoll, out goaltender, the MVP and the top goaltender. When you do that, you're probably going to have good success. So I know, look, I'm in favor of the Flin Flon Bombers. They've been a team that's been in the final the last 4 years. They have playoff experience, so I know it's a little bit of adversity right now. And going into Weyburn maybe not playing as bad as that home ice. I know with the success now on the first 2 games, maybe they have a little bit of momentum. So that's another crucial game 3 for the Flin Flon Bombers, because if they can get back on the roll here, and if they can sneak 1 or 2 out of Weyburn and head back home with a little bit more home ice back to the Whitney Forum, we'll see what can happen. But hats off to the guys down in Weyburn. They put together a very, very good roster, and they're getting peaking at the right time.
I wonder if they brought, what did you say, fan vans maybe down from Flin Flon.
Maybe they brought, that's a nice little trip, little 8-hour trip down to Weyburn, and head up in the hotels and check out the buffet there, and we'll see. Good things will happen.
There could be, like one of the hotels in Weyburn right now, there could be a moose leg in the room fridge just chilling to throw on the ice tonight if they can beat Weyburn. Exciting times, Benny. I know you got the call. What do you got on the program tonight? What do you got for on GX? What are people going to listen to? Do you got any good interviews coming up?
We got a pregame show. We got the Coach Terriers head coach and GM Emery Lawson. First intermission, we'll have Quinn Tavader, Terrier rookie forward, and then actually Clay Sleva, who's from Kenora, and he's going to be a free agent probably the next few years for senior hockey. So if you hear Clay Sleva's name from Kenora, and I'm sure Kenora's got first grabs on him, but he played with the Melford Mustangs last year, won a league title. He's a former Terrier down the road in Kenora. So I had a chance to talk with him about the series and about the year as well, and second intermission. Before we go, Barney, I just want to wish the best of luck to the Fort Knox. I know a lot of people in that organization and that roster, and I know be nice for them. I know they want to get it done tonight, but oh boy, that crowd would be nice in Game 6 on Thursday if they're not able to do it to win it back on home ice. But hats off to Jared Williams and the crew there in Fort Capel, and wish them the best of luck. I think they have 2 or 3 fan buses heading up to Saskatoon here tonight, so it should be a great atmosphere there at the Rodham Arena. Yeah,
no, that's right, Benny. It should be a good one. Then they win the banner tonight. I'm sure there'll be some sort of parade or celebration in the fort, maybe on the weekend.
Squire might begin going again.
Oh, let's go. If nothing else, we can set up in the parking lot. Hey, everybody grab blizzards and walk them down. Have a good call tonight, Benny. Thanks for doing this.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, that's Britney Spears now playing in the background.
Yeah, it is.
Britney Spears on the SportsCage. That's... We're going to talk about the PJHL, the Junior B Loop in a bit here, because Fort Knox heading into Saskatoon, 8 p.m. puck drop tonight in hour 3, pre-recorded because he's getting ready for the game. Liam Cody, a forward with Fort Knox, will join us. If you're just driving home and you're talking, what are these guys talking about here? Local hockey around the province. Prince Albert, Saskatchewan tonight, 3,500 people. I am, if you're watching the stream, wearing my Prince Albert Raider hat. Thanks to the fellas for dropping that off a little while ago. It's 3,500 in the Art Hauser Center. They don't allow milk crates anymore. They got rid of that. That's devastating. PA, come on. Thought you were tougher. Thought you were the... If anyone was going to keep it going, I thought it was you. But anyway, 3,500. It's Edmonton and Prince Albert, Game 7 of their Western Hockey League series. It's the last one. The last series in the first round to wrap. The winner gets a date with the Medicine Hat Tigers. Our Western Hockey League reports, always for Extreme Hockey and Sport in Regina. They are the local company. They've been with you throughout the years, supporting you. You can support them. Spring hockey kits in right now. All the new gear, baseball and lacrosse as well at Extreme Hockey right now. Calgary's going to play Lethbridge in round 2 of the Western Hockey League playoffs. That's going to be an absolute battle. You can watch that one online. And then as I was talking with Cal Filson a little bit earlier, Everett, they do get by Seattle last night. It was Lucas Kaplan scoring in a 1-0 game for Everett. Lucas Kaplan, Jackson Vaughn, former Regina Pat, assisted on that one. So Everett moves on. A date with the Portland Winterhawks because Portland beat Prince George 4-2 in Game 7 last night. Then the other series, it's the Spokane Chiefs. Andrew Cristall, Saskatoon's Berkeley Catton up against the Victoria Royals. So that's your Western Hockey League report for Extreme Hockey and Sport here in Regina. Also today I want to mention the Saskatchewan Sports Hall of Fame the class of 2025 came out in the athlete category. Julie Foster from Regina for rugby. Noah Miller, Regina, from water polo. Rugby and water polo. Two of the hardest sports. Right up there. Right there. And then John Ryan, former NFLer, in the football, or in the athlete category for football, obviously. In the builder category, it was Brad Horning, the late Brad Horning, for hockey. Clara Kizmarki Miller from Budapest, Hungary, in the gymnastics category. And in the team category, the 97-98 Regina Rams football clubs. They were an absolute wagon, no doubt about that. And the 1978-80 Saskatoon Harmony Center women's softball team. So congrats to everybody that is going into the Saskatchewan Sports Hall of Fame. We're coming up at the end of hour 2 here on the Sports Cage. Hour 3, we will have Glen Suitor stopping by. If you got any questions for Suits when it comes to the CFL, 936-6262, the Prairie Land Rentals text line. Also, like I said, Liam Cody forward with Fort Knox as they get set for their possible championship game in Saskatoon against the Saskatoon Wesleys. And then we'll hear back from Cody Mapes, head coach of the Weyburn Red Wings. It is the Sports Cage. We are streaming at sportscage.com. You can also get all your news at sportscage.com when it comes to local news in Saskatchewan. And as always, the home of local sports in Saskatchewan, 620 CKRM. Welcome back. Thanks to everyone who's been participating on the Prairie Land Rentals text line. A lot of questions about Prince Albert's rink. They're still playing at the Art Hauser Center. I think there's plans for a new rink for the Raiders to play in, but it obviously not done. It'll be awesome tonight there, 3,500 strong. You can get in on the Prairie Land Rentals text line since 1986, big or small jobs. You get to deal with the owner at 600 Albert Street. Thanks to all our guests who have joined on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline. That's right. Yeah, a lot of you driving home. We're looking out the window here. Like I said earlier, you know what's in the fridge. You don't want that smoke. Western Pizza. Pick up a pie, maybe the Greek favorites you like at any of the local Western Pizzas. It is that time, boys. Let's talk to Glen.
Time now for press coverage with CFL and Saskatchewan Rough Rider legend Glen Suitor on the Sports Cage. Brought to you by Bronco Plumbing and Heating, where professional service is guaranteed. They'll treat you right. 781-2090.
Glen, how's the How has the week been for Glen Suitor? It's kind of that time in the CFL season, right? Not a lot going on.
No, not a lot going on. I mean, it is busy for the GMs. It's busy for the teams. They're preparing. This is right about when I start putting together charts, taking a look at rosters as they stand right now. That's going to change because there'll be cuts in training camp, and the draft is important, and all of the trades that could happen. There's not that many usually, but it can happen, and start to get that together. Plus, I've just, Barney, been overly optimistic. I think I've got to rein it in. I think a little bit that there's some real potential here to see the game of football in our country grow in a big, big way. I had a return sort of back and forth message with Stuart Johnson, our new commissioner. We are going to get together very soon, and I just have a real good feeling about how he's going to approach things. We've talked at length about who he is and the type of person he is, and his background, strengths, and some weaknesses and things like that. But anybody you choose is going to have strengths and weaknesses, and it's how they approach that's going to make the difference as to whether or not they're great or not. And I think when he comes in saying, I have to know who I need to build as a staff, and then take that and run with it with the board. I think I'm excited like I haven't been since maybe when I started broadcasting and thought this is a brand new job. And now how can I help grow the game from the broadcast booth? now I can look at it and say, I know the new commissioner very well. How can I assist him through TV and through radio and podcasts? How can I assist him in achieving the goals of the league that he envisions?
Yeah, like I don't know if you and I talked about this last week, but you just think about it, like from coming from the side, from the media side, where the biggest revenue source for the teams is this media deal, is the TV deal. Like, you'd have to be crazy not to think like he knows where it can be better for both sides. It's like, hey, here's something you guys should have been asking TSN all along. Or, from the TSN side, well, hey, maybe the CFL should look at doing this to streamline things or to make things easier. It's just, to me, it just makes sense.
Yeah, and that as we talked about on Thursday, is the biggest probably goal and objective that the new commission will have. I mean, that new TV deal is right in his wheelhouse. As you mentioned, he'll know both sides of that argument. And he also understands the evolution of the business now, not just the relationship between the league and TSN, but also the business itself, the streaming services. How are they going to fit into this in the big picture? He probably knows that pressure already coming from other programming, not necessarily in football. So, there's that whole expertise that he has to bring to that. But you guys asked me a great question kind of late in our hit on Thursday about what other things would be priorities for the commish as he, gets in that first 100 days of office kind of thing, to quote something that's going on down south, which is completely different.
Yeah.
But Barney, it was a great question, and I didn't give you a very good answer. I was thinking there's a lot of things that that we talk about always, and any new commissioner is asked, like expansion, and the TV deal, of course, is so important. But the TV deal is still 2 years away. So, while he builds that plan, I think it's important to do a whole bunch of other things. And sort of the top three for me would start with, again, that idea of knowing what you know and what you don't know and hiring accordingly. And then put together an excellent staff. And the number one objective from that moment on is to create your narrative, the narrative that is truthful, that is respectful to the game, respectful to other leagues, respectful to other sports. Put together that narrative, and then make sure that every stakeholder in the league understands it. I always make the analogy when I'm having this discussion about if I was a Coke salesman, not a Pepsi salesman. Oh. So I'm selling Coke, not Pepsi. And I walk into a guy's store, restaurant, and say, hey, I've got this product. It's Coke. It's really good. It's not as good as Pepsi, but it's good. It's really good. And it's kind of ours. It's Canadian. We have a manufacturing plant here. But the other one is better. It's bigger. And we know that. But I want you to buy Coke. I mean, yeah, go away. So sales better than anybody. So
I know sales. I wouldn't say better than anybody. And for the record, we're talking about Coca-Cola. Get your head out of the gutter, Curtis.
Yes. So create that narrative that is not fabricating, not fake news, not trying to make the league something that it's not. Just look at the best attributes of our game, which starts with the athletes, and then build that narrative, and then make sure that every governor, every stakeholder, all the way down to the equipment managers and staff, everybody understand what that narrative is, and that is the messaging going forward. Go ahead, Curtis, if you want to hit it. Hit the bell. There it is. And then that's really the first step. Then it's like number two is look at the foundation of our league. We're building a house here. So not rebuild the foundation, not rip it down and rebuild it. It's great. It's a great house. We just have to inspect the foundation and start to make little tweaks as we build it up to the roof. So what does that look like? It looks like what do we do with the international policy? The international, what do we do with that? What are you going to do with the rules committee? Should there be a freeze on any rule changes for the next 3 or 4 years? Any major rule changes? Should we just put a freeze on it? How are we going to best use replay moving forward? We've had some real good with replay, and we've had some bad with replay. I would also suggest that one of the top ones in that sort of nuanced discussion is, how do we lower the total number of penalties? And that has to be a collaborative effort with all the teams, general managers, coaches, and players, and the league office and a head of officiating. How do we go from, and I don't even know the numbers now, but I'll guess that it's 12 or 13 penalties, 14 penalties a game. How do we get that to 4? How do we get that to 3 or 4 each team in an entire game? Because there's nothing that stops the flow of the game more than too many penalties. So, things like that, looking at the nuance. Then once you have that, the third one would be a mission statement for the immediate future and 10 years from now. And then present all of that with your new staff, your foundation in place, everything ready to go, your new narrative, then present all of that to the board and say, this is the plan, this is the 10-year project, this is what we want to do, and this is what will look like if it all works the way I see it working. This is what it'll look like in 10 years. I think that's the priority for him. And all in that, from 2 years from now is TV, and as that's going, popularity grows, and so does expansion talk. So, that'll all come along with it.
If you could change one league, if you could change one rule in the league, what would it be?
I would work on right now the replay. I would work on the eliminating some of how we use replay. It's too intrusive now. And when we start to, and this has only happened a few times, but I get nervous when a precedent starts getting set and all of a sudden you see more and more of it, and then it becomes commonplace. And that is penalties being called, which is really illegal, from the command center, or all of the real-time interaction from the command center. That starts to get to a point where we're officiating from the command center. And I don't believe we need to go anywhere near that. This to me has to be pulled back in a big way. And believe me, I've evolved here. People, if they pull up clips from me 5 years ago, they would have said, I love this idea because pass interference is so punitive. It can be an 80-yard penalty. We need to get that play right. So we need replay to see that play. And what I've found is we're not necessarily getting some of these calls right or wrong. We're just adding other opinions and other perspectives. So if you're a big offensive guy, you're looking at it saying, nah, it was fine. No offensive PI there in my mind. But the command center might be a defensive-minded guy, and he's saying, no, that was definitely. You know what I mean? It's just another opinion. So that's what I would look at. I would leave the single, the missed field goal. I know that's a big topic of discussion. I would leave it for now. And by the way, the only tweak I think I would look at, and maybe we could get U Sports to help us experiment with this before we implement it at the pro level. If a ball that's missed, a field goal that's missed, is not playable, so the returner can't get to it, it's over his head, it's out of bounds, any ball that is missed and bounces out of the back of the end zone is not a single point. So you can't get a single on a 10-yard missed field goal when you just hook it, like I do a lot of golf shots, right into the water. So you can't get the single off that type of miss. But if you're attempting a 60-yarder that's playable and you miss and they decide to give up or not give up, then you get the single. That's not my idea, by the way. That's couple of fans, one certainly in Calgary that I get emails from all the time.
Oh, there you go, fans. He reads his emails. You can.
No, but it's a good idea, and it's been talked about for years as a small tweak to the single. But I wouldn't take it out. No way.
Yeah. The Riders yesterday, and I don't know. You know what? I'm curious what your take is. They signed, just bringing him in. They add Aussie punter Bailey Flint. So another Australian that kicks the ball. Back in your day, I can't even know who punted for you. Dave didn't do both jobs, did he?
No, we had Lazchuk. There was a few punters. Oh, Terry Baker. Terry Baker was our punter.
That's the guy I was thinking about, and I couldn't come up with my mind. But what's your take on all these Aussies coming up and booting balls?
Well, I have mixed emotions because I'm okay with a team scouting and finding a guy in Australia or Europe or Mexico that can pound the heck out of the ball and is going to be a great directional punter, because to me that's more important than somebody who can just crush it. Can you put it inside the 10-yard line 80% of the time when you're in range? Because that's more important than just crushing the ball. So, I'm okay with teams scouting and this whole international program to bring awareness and have athletes start to think about the CFL if they're playing in Italy or Australia or wherever, and to have that communication. But until we can see real revenue possibilities from that, I think that has to be pulled back to where it's not mandatory to have a roster spot, but it is, go and scout the Australian, and he's the best kicker and he beats out the Canadian kid or the American kid that's kicking for you. All the power to him. Great. We'll take him. But if not, then, let's look at growing the roster with Canadians first, Americans as well, because that's, the factory for football factory that the U.S. is. If we're going to expand the roster, let's expand it by 2 more Canadians and 2 more Americans. That'll lower injuries. Again, this is a nuanced discussion. The foundation of the league. Increased roster size will decrease injury issues because fatigue adds to injury. And when your starting halfback on defense has to cover every kick and return and be on the kick return team as well, he's going to be more fatigued, and that's when injuries are more likely.
I know you're such a big proponent of all football at minor levels and flag football, but SportsCage.com, we have the story. Dave Thomas had it out yesterday. 8 Saskatchewan University athletes named to the 2025 U Sport East-West Bowl roster. So 4 from Regina here: Riley Schick, Ethan Graham, Colin McKellar, Carson Sombach, and then some from the Huskies. Just that Saskatchewan content and just what this does for that, 12, 13-year-old that's playing the game right now and going, all right, university football is pretty cool here. Wow, now these guys are going to do this, right? It's just one of those things, Glenn, not even at the grassroots level that should be kind of shouted from the rooftops.
Yeah, absolutely. Celebrate it. And congratulations, those guys. And, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. I'll be up in Saskatoon at the beginning of May for the Dogs Breakfast. That is always an event that has over 1,500, almost 2,000 people at a breakfast. And to see the young men come across the stage that are sort of beginning their college journey and receiving their handshake from the head coach and then their uniform, and they're coming on. It's no coincidence that Saskatchewan has one of, if not the best fan base in our country with this game of football. It's no coincidence that they spend as much time as they do developing minor football and the kids and giving them that introduction early through flag and even early in tackle, but that the emphasis and priority on minor football in Saskatchewan is one of the main reasons that at the pro level it has such a rabid fan base. Like, introduce the young kids to the game, they will themselves figure out how valuable it is to their self-esteem, to their team building, to leadership, how to lead, how to follow, how to understand the importance of discipline and the importance of learning discipline. I mean, that to me is the one thing that's missing in society more than anything, is that we've forgotten how important to be disciplined is. And that could just mean, you know what, I'm not going to have that extra whatever because it's not good for me. And I'm going to just, to be strong in your head, to be able to fight through those temptations. Football teaches you that. You have no choice but to be disciplined when you play football. So I love it. I'm glad you brought it up, Barney, because we do have to shout from the rooftop when those things happen. That's part of this great narrative, why this game is so valuable to young people. And that's boys and girls.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Okay, before we let you go, I got to ask you this. There's a couple of massive hockey games in the province tonight. One's in Prince Albert. The Raiders and Edmonton. Game 7, Western Hockey League. Winner moves on to the next round. And the other one down the road in Weyburn, Game 3 between Flin Flon and Weyburn in the SJHL. Yep. Talked to the fellas earlier. We got a little bit of a list here. Sporting event etiquette. You were just at a soccer game in a massive soccer stadium in Europe. There's nothing like it. It's pretty cool. Now, what etiquette at a sporting event that just, chaps your hide, that you just can't get over, that people do this at an event? For me, though, there's a few, but my big one is people that walk around, get up, come to their seat during the play. They don't just wait. Right? Yeah. What is there one? Is there one for Glen Suitor?
Yeah, there's couple? Actually there's two. There's two. And I didn't get this question pre-show, so yeah. But there is definitely two for me. The first is I took my son when he was 8 years old to a Vancouver Canucks game, got really good tickets, and, because I wanted to give him a nice experience, down low, all of that, and weren't really allowed to cheer and he couldn't wave his flag because we were in a really business-like section. It was a section where this is where all the lawyers have their tickets and all that. And you're not allowed to have an 8-year-old in there waving the Canucks flag, those little tiny ones that's not in anybody's way or anything, and getting excited. And he was getting more excited about the inflatable whale that was floating around dropping stuff as he was about the hockey game. Yeah. But I just thought, come on, guys, let the kids have some fun here. That's one concern that I think the NHL has moving forward is, make sure you're putting fans in your buildings, not just corporate people. I'm sure that's a Toronto discussion more than anything. That's one. I don't have any problem with the yelling. The other is more in an amateur sport kind of thing. I don't have a problem with the cheering. I love the, go nuts, be respectful of the people around you. If someone else has the other color jersey on, it's okay. That's what sports does. It brings us together, whether you cheer for one team or the other. But you know what? Don't yell and curse at the officials. When you have your kids up there and somebody is losing his mind and cussing out officials and the language gets terrible, that is where I just want to go, hold on. First of all, the official is 15 years old, maybe. Secondly, stop. What you're doing, I don't know if your kid's out there, and what you're doing is showing him that it's not his fault that their team is losing. That's not a good lesson. It's not the ref's fault. Stop yelling at them. It's ruining it for everybody here. So those two are my pet peeves. Let the kids cheer and don't scream at official. Don't cuss at them. I mean, everybody boos an official. That's going to happen. But the cussing and that's bad fan etiquette.
There we go. Yeah, no, those are good ones. All right, buddy. We'll regroup on Thursday. Thanks for today, and have a good couple days.
Sounds good. Thanks, Barney.
Right on. That is press coverage with Glen Suitor for Bronco Plumbing and Heating, where professional service is guaranteed. They'll treat you right at 781-2090. We're going to recap some of the local stuff going on in and around the area. Also, the NHL tonight. Some interesting games already underway. We got Liam Cody interview, forward from Fort Knox, as they try and wrap up their Prairie Junior Hockey League title, first ever title, possibly, for Fort Knox. That one surprises me. Big night up in Saskatoon for them. And then also, like I said, in Weyburn, the Red Wings getting set to host the Flin Flon Bombers with a surprising 2-goal lead. It's the Sports Cage. We are the home of local sports and the Saskatchewan Roughriders on 620 CKRM. Yeah, maybe you're making your way to Weyburn tonight. It was about an hour from here, maybe an hour and a bit from where we are situated. It's Weyburn up 2-0 on the Flin Flon Bombers. We'll hear from head coach again, Cody Mapes, later in about 20 minutes time. We'll hear that one again. Melfort up 2-0 in Yorkton to take on the Terriers. Our SJHL reports are always for Southie Mainline Chrysler, the new king of trucks in Southie Saskatchewan. Worth the drive every time, because right now you can get a 2024 Ram 3500 and save $11,000. Western Hockey League. I'm wearing my Prince Albert Raiders hat tonight. It's Game 7. I'm going to be watching this one. A little split screen action. It is Game 7 from the Art Hauser Center in Prince Albert. The Raiders hosting the Edmonton Oil Kings. Last one in the first round. And then we'll be on to round number 2 in the Western Hockey League. NHL, Canadian teams in action. Ottawa and Columbus starting momentarily. No, it is started already. Updated score, 1-0 for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Hammer Ottawa to come back on that one. Toronto's in Florida down 1-0 in the first period. Montreal and the Detroit Red Wings. The Red Wings have a 1-0 lead with 5 minutes left in the first period there. Later tonight, Vancouver in Dallas to take on the Stars. And that is it for our Canadian teams in action. Okay, we mentioned this. I didn't mention this. Winnipeg Jets saw this at 53 wins. Franchise record for the old Jets. 53 wins. Yeah, very nice from Winnipeg. I also want to give a shout out to the Regina Avengers para hockey team. They won gold and they went undefeated in the C division at the tournament in Calgary on the weekend. And then the Wolseley Mustangs, they won the provincial junior C championship, 3-0 sweep over Yellowgrass. So congratulations to the Wolseley Mustangs. You give a kid a toy. Saskatchewan Sports Hall of Fame, the induction class of 2025 came out. We mentioned this a little bit ago. Athlete category, Julie Foster for rugby, Noah Miller, both from Regina for water polo, and also John Ryan, obviously for football. His time in the NFL and CFL. In the builder category, Brad Horning, the late Brad Horning from Regina. Today was the event, and it was really interesting that Brad's mother, Terry, was there. And one of the questions she was asked, what would Brad's reaction have been to receiving the call to go into the Saskatchewan Sports Hall of Fame?
Oh, well, well, first of all, he'd be so humbled. Like, he just can't believe that. He just can't believe that people think, so much of him. But if you were with him, like, when you left after visiting him, you felt good. Like, a lot of people, people that are handicapped, they're kind of uncomfortable around. When you left from him, you felt like good, and he never, made you feel uncomfortable at all.
And then Mother Terry was also asked. A lot of people say that Brad was known for his inspiration and perseverance, and her reaction to hearing that.
I think some of it came from his dad too. I mean, his dad played hockey too, and you know, when he got hurt, they both decided they weren't going to feel sorry. But my husband said to Brad, "I'm not going to feel sorry for you, and you don't feel sorry for me," and that was the way they led their life.
Yeah, so it's that's great. Got to know. I didn't get to know Brad, but I interactions a few times with him. What just an inspiration. After getting paralyzed in that hockey game back in the 80s, ended up scouting. Really cool story. So he's going in the builder category, and Clara Kazmarki Miller in gymnastics. In the team category, the 1997-98 Regina Rams football teams. They are going in, and the 78-80 Saskatoon Harmony Center women's softball team. So the Saskatchewan Sports Hall of Fame class of 2025. For more, you can go to sportscage.com and read up there the write-up that our team has on there. Don't forget, also, you want to be a SportsCage insider. SportsCage Insider Report. You get scores, the latest news, opportunities to win VIP access to the biggest events. You can click on sportscage.com, and we'll walk you through it there. If you're watching the stream, you have the QR code, the kids call it. The QR code makes it nice and easy. QR codes have really made things easy in this day and age. The Tuesday Sports Cage is for Saskatchewan Lotteries, bringing communities together. Sask Lottery products fund over 12,000 sport, culture, and recreation groups across Saskatchewan. We talked earlier with Colson and Curtis about sporting events, just because the rink in Prince Albert tonight at the Art Hauser Center will be jammed. 3,500 people in there. And then down in Weyburn, I suspect they're going to get close to a sellout, which is 1,600 to watch the Red Wings and Flin Flon Bombers tonight. And the sports event etiquette. Now, Colson, flip your mic on there. Yours was kind of more based around the employees at different events.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, especially in winter in Saskatchewan here, you've got the parking attendants outside, right? I don't think they really want to be there. They're just doing their job. Don't be mean to them. And then the fast food employees or attendants who are in the building, ticket attendants and all them, again, they're just doing their job. They're just trying to keep things orderly, get you into your seat, get you out of your seat, get your hot dog, drink, whatever it is. Just be nice to them. Like, you don't need to cause a scene. If you're upset about the game, fair enough. There's probably other people that are too, but they literally don't have anything to do with the game. I don't know why you're taking it out on them.
And Curtis's was, well, Curtis actually kind of just told two stories, but it was kind of more based around fans just being totally obnoxious, right?
Yeah, just people being kind of like unruly and maybe getting into some fights or stuff at games. Yeah, like if I find it like really hard that, like, I just find it like crazy that people even like get into fights with other people at sporting events. Like, when's the last time you started throwing fists with someone at an event because they're just being crazy, Barney?
Never.
Never. Exactly. Like, is it really that hard to go out in public and not fight someone?
I think it's like such a thing now to get onto social media and for people, and everyone does have a camera, but it's like, yeah, it seems like the popular thing is to get into a fight. I feel like Philadelphia is always near the top. I have had interactions with Philadelphia fans at other rinks and football stadiums. Yeah, and they seem a little too hot, a little too passionate. My big ones we talked about was getting up during a play or just walking to your seat while a play's on. You got to wait in 2025. You got to wait. And then tonight, on the heels of the Art Hauser Center being packed and Weyburn probably being packed, is what's the etiquette in saving a spot for a buddy? I get the bathroom break. You got, what, 7 minutes, 8 minutes ish. But you got to tell the people that are squeezing, be like, hey, I got to go to the bathroom. By then, you should be good enough friends. But to start of a game, you got to be elbows up there. And I don't know how long or how late your friend can be. Curtis, you said that trying to save a row or something like that.
Yeah.
Good luck. You can't do that.
That's a no-go. You can't save a whole row, just like period.
You get laughed out of Prince Albert and Weyburn tonight if you try to do that, even in standing room.
Yeah, I feel like it kind of depends how busy a game is. Like if you can tell like it's busy, people want these spots, like couple minutes.
Have self-awareness.
Yeah, if it's like it's not a packed barn by any means, I would say you could save a spot for a little bit longer. Be like, hey, sorry, my buddy's just out. He's grabbing a couple and maybe run to the washroom. Like, no big deal. It's like, okay, there's other spots around. We're not shoulder to shoulder by any means, so save a spot.
The other thing I said was swearing around kids and losing your absolute marbles around kids at events. Like, I remember when the kids were younger. And the kids, are going to hear swear words from me for sure. But I don't need to take them to an event and have some slobbering mouth breather just swear and be an absolute lunatic. Honestly, just be aware. If you want to be that guy, then go. If there's a beer gardens or go stand by the other skids, go do that. You don't need to do it around the kids. So what are the other ones we got here today? Smoking. There's always that person that has to smoke at a concert. Mostly rock concerts. It's like, that rules don't apply to me.
Or on the airplane,
I'm just going to light one. Well, that's
looking at the airplane light, you're waiting for the seatbelt light to come off. There's someone out there that's looking for the airplane cigarette light. Like,
we're in 2025, not 1975.
When is it going to come off?
I think it's awesome that airplanes still have the cigarette thing up by the seatbelt.
Yeah. It's just always on because it's not changing.
What airline are buying these planes that they still allow smoking? Lithuanian Air?
A man can dream. A man can dream.
Yeah, maybe it's just in case they bring it back. You know what? We're going back. Luckily, we didn't change the thingamajig up there. Smoking is now allowed. Light it up. Let her fly.
Or maybe they'll innovate. Maybe they'll make it a no vaping symbol or something like that.
Oh, boy. Got to cover all the bases.
It's the Sports Cage. Okay, what do we got? Coming up here, we have game number 5 in Saskatoon between Fort Knox and the Wesleys tonight. We're going to hear from Fort Knox forward Liam Cody right after the break. The Sports Cage, we are your home for local sports. We're streaming at sportscage.com and on 620 CKRM. Fort Knox forward Liam Cody joining me on the Western Pizza guest hotline as they get set for their game tonight in Saskatoon against the Wesleys. Liam, let's go back. I'm very curious. What happens Saturday night? You guys bring the Wesleys back up 2-0 to Fort Qu'Appelle, and they come out with a 7-3 win. What goes wrong in that game for you guys, I guess?
You know what? I wouldn't really say necessarily that the score reflected on how that game went. Obviously we knew that the Wesleys were going to make a push. I mean, they're in the finals for a reason, right? So, with that being said, it's just the small details, right? Little things fall apart, and they're the type of team that'll make you pay.
You're a third-year guy on this team. How do you? What do you say to the guys to reset for Sunday?
Yeah, there was a lot of things. Just again with little small details and kind of keeping everybody on the same page and keeping things simple, right? It's when things kind of everybody starts to overcomplicate. It's just kind of get away from our game a little. But again, there's lots of vets on the team, and even the young guys, everybody's really buying in. So I think it was easy for us to get back to square one there.
When is this team playing their best from your lens?
You know what? It's whenever all 4 lines are rolling, right? We got. I would say this team here, we have a lot of depth. So, when all four lines there are all going, it brings success to the team with, your bottom line, say, out there bumping, grinding, and then your top lines follow it up, right? So.
Let's go back to Sunday night, because it could easily be 2-2 going back to Saskatoon, right? It's an overtime win. Obviously a nail biter. Things are getting a little tense. As a leader, are you trying to keep guys calm?
Oh yeah, for sure. A lot of guys on the bench. Nerves are going. Obviously, it's a pretty emotional game, right? Either you're going up with a 3-1 lead, or you're back to square one, and basically it's a 3-game series, right? Going back to their barn. With that being said, just kind of guys come off, keeping the morale up on the bench and everything, and keeping guys in line.
What are you expecting tonight from the Wesleys?
Obviously they're going to make a push. Like I said, they're a skilled team. They deserve to be here just as much as anybody. And obviously they've got some pretty skilled guys there. And going back to their barn, last time we were there, they had a couple fans going and chants were going. So I'm sure the energy will be going in the building, and they're not going down without a fight, right? So.
You're a Manitoba guy. Now you're working out there. You've been there for 3 years, so you are kind of like a local. How important and how much are you guys talking about winning the first banner for that organization to hang in that rink?
Oh, it's been crazy. Even just the energy in town. You can tell everybody's getting excited, and all the local boys are all super excited, and everybody within the organization, it's super exciting.
All right. Well, yeah, you guys, it's important one. It's a big one tonight, 8 p.m. puck drop. Thanks for taking some time, and go and get it.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Puck drop for Fort Knox up in Saskatoon, 8 o'clock tonight against the Wesleys. A chance to wrap it up. Could be hanging a banner, some sort of celebration in Fort Knox or in Fort Qu'Appelle this weekend. That'd be cool to see. It is the Sports Cage. We're going to come back. If you missed the interview with Cody Mapes earlier in the program, we're going to rerun that. Cody Mapes, head coach of the Weyburn Red Wings. They're in a big one tonight, playoffs at home against Flin Flon. Sports Cage, we are the home of sports in Saskatchewan. We're streaming at sportscage.com and always on 620 CKRM.